Hello, Internet. We are back for tonight's more of a discussion type session here on the Praetors Rejects Twitch channel. I would like to apologize beforehand because I don't know what's going to happen. Anyway, with all the recent events that have gone on, especially around where I live, did not have a chance or time to prep for their beginning adventures into the land of Thay. So with this being our last stream of the year, figured it'd be we should at least have some type of year of retrospect for the campaign and everything. So that being said, around the circle of the screen there in the cam feed, you see my players. I'll let them go ahead and introduce themselves, and then we'll just watch the craziness unfold. Take it away, guys.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. My name is Huxley, and my favorite Christmas movie is Die Hard. And quite frankly, I want to know why it's not your favorite Christmas movie.
Doesn't qualify as one.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it is.
Just because it takes around the same time doesn't mean it's a Christmas movie.
It's a Christmas movie.
You're not human.
Help. I'm Loco, like Loco 1956, also known as DM Loco. I also run a podcast on Tuesdays, Rhyme of the Frost Maiden. I play Razumdar Longbow, a Tabaxi Ranger in this campaign. And if you didn't hear me the first time, help.
My name is Caleb. I'm a player here, the Praetors Rejects, known for playing characters such as Genmare, Torrent, and Enoth. Arguably, Home Alone is probably one of the best Christmas movies. The first one, the rest suck.
Which Home Alone did you say?
God
The
damn
first one, the rest suck.
Okay. My name is Alex. I'm Sharkbait. The most known character I've played is probably my character that died in one episode named Burden.
That's a lie.
Not my
We all miss
goblin. Or in our hearts, we all miss him. That's it. I'm not gonna say my favorite movie or Christmas movie because you all are weird.
My name's Sammy. Known as Mr. Wolf throughout the channel, and I play Rowan Bertolt typically on these evenings. And I have to agree with Ben. I think Die Hard's probably the best Christmas movie out there. Hands down, no arguments.
Yes. Die Hard buddies.
Christmas.
Love
Yeah.
Think about it, Home Alone is just a kid's version of Die Hard.
It really isn't, though.
I don't like watching children suffer, Maybe you do, but
He doesn't suffer, he makes the adults suffer. It's the other way around.
Grinch is a close second, though.
Yeah. Yes.
The Grinch. Oh, that's a good one.
And I am
Classic.
Jeff,
Elf.
also known as Kingbashman here on the channel and across Twitch. I am usually the dungeon master for this campaign, and I don't care what you say, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. So
Yeah.
Listen, DM, let me tell you that it isn't, so you can kill my character.
no, I'm not going to kill your character. I'm just going to make him suffer. Anyway, so excuse me. Let's see where to start. Man, it's hard to believe that we've been on this campaign for over a year and a half now.
Yeah, we're on episode like 60 something, man.
It's about
been
a
like
year.
a year and a quarter.
Something like that. If this would have been a regular gameplay episode, it would have been, I think, episode 63.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And that's not to that also doesn't include
one shots.
Yeah, the
Special.
one shots and the specials, and weeks that we didn't play because convention stuff or things came up and we didn't play, or when the channel was dark, or what have you. So yeah, lots gone on. Believe you all have literally just started the 4th adventure out of the book.
Really? Oh wait, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Just got into it.
Yeah, basically just started it. Which I don't think that one should take nearly as long as some of the others. It's not as dungeon crawly as some of the rest. But of course, we'll have to see. I know, at least from my standpoint, one of my wasn't even necessarily related to the actual Yawning Portal campaign, but one of my favorite, I guess, moments or groups of sessions or whatever was the Halloween Bleak Harvest stuff that we did. Just because it was fun to see the OG Dragon Heist characters come back for a couple of episodes. So
Yeah, can we?
No Sith Deliver come back.
yeah.
Okay, let's talk about our group for a second. We've been kicking it for more than a year. Like we played all the way through with Duff. I don't remember how many episodes that was. I want to say like 25 or 29 or something.
It was.
like that.
I think it was more than 20. So I think we got up into the 40s.
And then we played, and we had the Alien episodes, which were very cool and unique in their own way. It was our first chance to be a different character, than because nobody died in Dragon Heist. Spoilers, sorry for anyone who's watching. Nobody died in our Dragon Heist campaign, so we didn't really get to bring anybody new to the table. So getting the chance to do that was really fun. You really learn more about the players by how they bring in a new character and how they feel and how they play, and that was so much fun. And then we did this, and we've really had a chance to kind of get into the minds of our players through the different characters that they bring, and see the strengths and weaknesses, and that to me is so much fun. The best part is just all the RP-ness,
The Dragon Heist was 22 episodes. I was gravely mistaken.
Really? I thought it was more. Wow.
I thought it was too.
We really cleaned up
Felt
that
like
campaign,
a lot longer.
Yeah, it did. And that's a testament to Duff, I think. He really knows how to flesh out those non-combats and let us do our own thing and make all the mistakes we made along the way.
Well, we did a lot of RPing, and that makes sessions seem like they last longer per se. Not in a bad way, but just more entertaining.
It pads them out with some substance.
That is one thing I do like about Dragon Heist. I wish the actual book or adventure path, whatever you want to call it, went further beyond level 5, because there's just so much that you could do with that adventure.
Yeah.
It just sucks that it goes right to Mad Mage, because Mad Mage is so dungeon crawl heavy.
Yeah,
you don't get the same split with RP.
Yeah,
I wouldn't recommend. I really wouldn't recommend extending it. I think it's perfect because it's living in those first 5 levels. You become a hero of the city, basically, even if the city doesn't know about it. Our heroes were kind of muted in their fame at the end of our Dragon Heist run. They were pretty exceptional, but they were also kind of on the run. There's a lot that was unresolved with that, and there's so much left unsaid about, of course, the fight with the Xanathar, the looming battle between the Xanathar and the Zentarim. And I think that's good. I think a lot of unanswered questions is really important because it captures your imagination.
We're also considering Bleak Harvest canon. We don't know what happens after that, too. We never disclosed that.
I absolutely consider Bleak Harvest to be canon. As I said, because Osric didn't die. Like that's canon for my Osric that is going to come, if he ever comes back to the Yawning Portal group, he's no longer going to be that like even split of rogue and wizard. Now he's going to have those 3 levels of ranger, and he's going to be a little bit more psychosis induced. And
more paranoid.
Oh yeah, and he's going to have the book with all of the creepy medical stuff that we didn't really explore. Yeah, there was that book, and the lady was talking about doing like procedures on us, and Osric was instantly like, no. But I think he's really curious because he thinks that can help him unlock his memories. So if Osric ever does come back, he's going to be that version from the Grim Harvest, and he's going to be a little bit different, a little bit touched. But getting back to my original point is like about the longevity of our group. We've been meeting together on these Thursday nights for like 2.5, almost 3 years now. And I mean, I don't know you guys as well as I wish I did, but I'm really glad that I met you guys, and I have a lot of fun. I look forward to every Thursday night that we play. And I want to thank you guys and the DMs for everyone for being amazing. So with that said and out of the way, I'd like to introduce the first toast of the night, sponsored by Buc-ee's. Please sponsor us, Buc-ee's. We need the sound effect. Everybody raise your glasses of apple juice.
I got tea.
Toast.
And grape
Get
juice.
one out.
To the best Thursday group that I've ever had.
Cheers.
Oh, I forgot that apple juice was fermented. Whoops.
That tea's got a bit of a bite to it.
That's sweet tea. Texas tea.
To it.
Black gold. Yeah, that original Dragon Heist crew, man. There's never going to be anything like it in my memory. We all have such cool, interesting characters, especially after the Grim Harvest.
Bleak.
That's what I said.
I was just
I really wish you would pay attention, Sam.
I really enjoyed the fact that Genmare was a part of a BDSM cult the whole time.
Oh my gosh.
That's canon. We know this.
It is canon.
I was just saying.
Rex is going back to hell. Screw the lot of you.
It's just easier there, you know?
It is.
All right, we'll call you if we need you.
No, don't.
Don't bother.
No promises.
And then, of course, you got Loco being the wise old sage of the group that has to deal with all of it.
Always.
Lionel Stritero.
Except that time he was Judas. That was
Loco.
pretty scary.
Loco, why do you do it?
That was a different side of Loco that we'd never seen, and I loved every second of it.
Why do you do
like
it to yourself?
Judas.
Yeah, Judas was fun, but I didn't really know where he fit in. I mean, I kind of gave his little backstory, which kind of explained a couple ties for Band-Aid, but after that, I didn't know where to go with him, because that's really the only reason I created him, was just for that, that little pull, that little tag.
Closure.
Yeah, the little closure for Band-Aid. So
Yeah, I agree. It's really tough to fit a bad character into a group.
Yeah.
It takes a really good amount of skill and flexibility.
yeah, that's why I pulled him so quick, because I didn't want to, introduce something that disturbing into a group that's trying to get a quest completed. So,
To be fair, that's what I did with you guys with Verm.
I think Verm was too young to be bad. He was being influenced by all these good people around him, and he didn't reject it. I think you were really good with portraying him as like focused on something, being naive, and then kind of sort of over time having the character arc. Like he made this bond with Band-Aid. He accompanied the corpse into the woods to have a funeral, like got to witness, the burial, like, and presumably he's still out there and he's a changed man, goblin, whatever,
For the probably the better.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting myself, that as much crap as Band-Aid gave you for all your flaws, instead of bowing up against it, your character, I should say, he took it to heart and eventually tried to implement it and put it into his life, which I thought was very, very satisfying.
Yeah, it was like
he's
tough
dead.
love.
Just
Just cut to Verm dead on a highway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like tough love. It's like, I'm not saying this in a way to be like ageist at all, but it's like this grandfatherly gruffness that Band-Aid seemed to carry. And I don't know if you, Loco, thought of him as being very old, but he certainly ended up, in my mind, he came off as having the wisdom of years.
Yeah.
I don't think
it's almost like, go ahead.
I don't think Verm necessarily thought his Band-Aid scolding him, more of just trying to give him advice.
Encouraging him, it really is what it was meant it to be, was encouraging.
And I don't know if that's just like how I would perceive it, or if the character is just stupid. I mean, it could be both.
Yeah.
But
Stupid would be him not trying to put any of those things into his life. That would be stupid, I would think. But he tried.
yeah, he did attempt, but that greed for money still stays.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I think he's slowly gaining the wisdom that comes with being a ranger, that self-preservation instinct. Like he's kind of like he was the ranger in the sense of like hunting for something. In this case, kind of felt like he was hunting for money. Yeah. He was very mercenary about it and just like very selfish. And then he had the opportunity to spend time with somebody who happened to have a 20 wisdom. And like it kind of started to rub off. And like the part of the key to having wisdom is accepting advice. And you inadvertently reflected that very well. And it was a very slow but intentional character arc. And I loved it.
Yep.
And then Toby.
Oh, how could we forget Toby?
Did we even talk about Toby very much during that horror special?
For Bleak Harvest?
Yeah.
Verm wasn't a
No.
part of that. That was a Dragon Heist, but I mean,
sorry. I just
a little bit like a little
Hey,
peek
Alex.
behind the curtains is, I mean, Verm isn't just a frog. I won't go too into depths about it, but
Verm isn't just a frog.
Yeah.
Toby isn't. I meant Toby isn't necessarily just a frog, but
No, he's just a frog. What do you mean?
Yeah, it's
Totally
sure,
just a
keep on
frog.
thinking that.
Hey,
Alex,
Alex,
I've
who
had
did
some
you,
really interesting things planned out for that Bluto fight with Toby being the last one there.
he's just holding Black Razor in his mouth.
He
You're all
Alex,
screwed now.
Yeah, I remember. Sorry, you're Abdel for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who did you play during the Bleak Harvest?
Abdel, my
I don't know. just
totem
for some reason, I felt
warrior
like
barbarian.
Toby
Totally
was the Dragon Heist character. I don't know.
No. I had
We all
Tony,
wish.
that was a spider for Abdel that I think Ozark made as his fine familiar.
Sure did, buddy.
So what you're actually saying? So why didn't Abdel throw up on a single guy throughout that whole module?
Because Abdel got a lot more mature in a sense of like being proper.
Hmm.
I kind of hinted at it a little bit with like him wearing a full suit to the
Yeah, the Spider-Man
whole meeting.
suit.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that. And
What
he
in
owned
the-
a business, so he kind of had to learn how to deal with people in a good way, more professional manner.
I love
But when he rages, it's all off the table.
it.
That's fair. Let's see. With this campaign being as I don't know how would I say it, detrimental to the longevity of player characters. What do you all, especially because we all know that people usually take a lot of time and put together the starting character for a campaign. What thoughts usually go through your mind when you're coming up with any number of backup characters to fill in that void in the group after a character death or a TPK or what have you?
It's a good question. I'm not going to answer because I haven't had any characters die yet.
Yeah, technically,
we'll fix that. But
Torrent didn't die, but I did have him leave the party because some other people had died. And when you're coming up with a background character, I think what I do is, number one, consider how your new character is going to fit in with the dynamic of the new group. So you want to consider what classes are going to be coming in, and perhaps what kind of less bearing on this, but what races are there if you want to diversify up the party a little bit. Have a party of wood elves.
I don't think race is that big of a issue, though.
It's not.
Yeah.
But what I look for is I try to pick a different race to diversify the party a bit, but because I don't know, it's just interesting having a diverse.
Yeah, human paladin going down into a dungeon.
Hey, look.
Yeah, the diversity there.
Sometime, like humans sometime. But
I mean, to be fair, that is
cleric
diverse.
brother.
Those were the first two. Well, I think Urkaz was technically human, right?
Urkaz?
Well, the Josh's
so.
character that he brought in,
I believe
this
so.
wizard.
That lasted like a session and a half.
Well,
That's a
this
little
the
more than that.
first
was
human
impactful.
character that I've played with the channel, anyway.
Yeah.
But
Well, first character that stayed longer for a longer period of time to spend a human. Same with Rowan.
Yep. So you just want to figure out how you're going to fit into the dynamic. And then as far as role play goes, that's pretty much whatever you want.
I mean, for me, I kind of just look at what would be fun to play in RP. Hence the Wild Magic Barbarian we brought in for a session that died. And I worked with Ben a little bit on that because we kind of worked our characters together with Talmir and Vismond.
Character we don't talk about.
Yeah, the BBEG.
What a bad.
And then like with Rowan, I worked with Jaff to create Rowan and Enoth. We came up with the list of all the paladin and cleric subclasses and paired them to what would mesh together well.
I love it when players work together to make characters, especially like buddies, pals, brothers, family members, rivals. I love it so much. I love the work we did between Vismond and Talmir, and Talmir's quick and unfortunate passing was hardly explored at all, at least on screen. But I love the fact that you died, personally. And I'm not being mean or anything. For me, that opens up such a great new window for Vismond, who may or may not be dead. But if he is still alive, then he has a whole arc left. Like, he was in the middle of an arc when you guys ran into him, and he's the kind of guy who's not going to fucking share, his story or anything, quite frankly. When I come up with characters, I just think of the concept of the personality. What are they like? What do they like to do? And then I think about what kind of character can I make that fits into that personality. So passive or active is the first question. So if he's going to be passive, he's probably going to be a spellcaster, or maybe like an archer, someone who shoots from the back, doesn't really have a lot of questions about what he's going to do every turn. I honestly feel like spellcasters are really active. because they have so much potential to change the battlefield. But there can be
utility.
There can be passive ones, yeah, like people who buff. When I came up with what's his name, Ophidius, that was working with some really bad ability scores. So the challenge for me was, can I come up with a character who can compete in the hardest dungeons in the world with such low ability scores? And for me, the only option was a spellcaster. I'd never be able to make a martial who would be able to stand toe to toe, but a spellcaster has a lot of flexibility. And so the theme for me there was him kind of working from the back foot. Like he wasn't built to succeed. And then I thought about what kind of battle can he fight where he's always the underdog? And if his job is to keep the whole entire timeline on track or something crazy like that, then he'll always be on the back foot because the timeline is obdurate. It does not want to be changed. It'll fight you. It will ruin you for touching it. And so from there, I kind of built this idea of him being from this mechanical plane of law and all that stuff. So that's just kind of little insight on how I approach things. And I love losing, and I love losers. Losing is so much more interesting than winning, which is why I love Talmir so much, because he had the best ability scores and he lost all the time because he was so prideful. He put himself into unnecessary risks all the time. And then he had to escape from a party who wanted to kill him. And I love it. I loved losing. So fun.
Anyone else?
I'm a little bit different from these guys. I with all my characters so far, standing true to the roles for specifically flaws. I only roll for flaws. Verm I rolled for. It was really shitty because that's how he got his obsession with gold.
That was one
And
of my favorites.
as for class, Verm wasn't necessarily planned around a party to begin with, but all my other characters have kind of been filling in a void or attempting to. We've always kind of lacked the front line for the most part after Gen died.
Ian was not a frontline man.
She
Oh,
tried.
no way.
She tried.
The wall
She
upon
tried.
which the forces of evil crest and break.
She sure tried.
Not
Yenny
enough,
Ara.
not enough AC.
Because Yen died, and then Torrent was pretty much the only front line we had back then.
Talmir came in right after Yen, but then he died
Yeah.
session 1, so...
Well, there was Borg.
There was
Yeah,
Borg
and
as well.
Borg.
Yeah, we did.
Borg was
Borg also,
thick.
however, made some questionable decisions about frontline. So, I made
I like
the
playing on
decision.
flaws.
I decided to make a bunch of characters to aid the front line.
That's what I was touching on with the dynamic. You kind of want to notice what the party weakness is. And
But I also, I built a half spellcaster to aid the front line, which should be pretty versatile. So, hopefully,
Building a meta
Thanks,
party is nice, but I also like the idea of people playing what they want to play and going through the struggles of, okay, maybe we don't have the best front lines, but you can still find new ways to circumvent encounters or fight enemies without those hard front line being...
definitely that too.
Hard
I
agree.
but
Hard
Play,
agree.
play what you want to play.
I also think, though, that having somewhat of a decent party composition, not necessarily meta, would help.
This all reinforces my perspective that losing is great, especially for content, for development of personalities and the plot. I don't want to. I'm not speaking bad about our friend Tombstone, who played for a little while, and then eventually departed from the campaign. He, in my opinion, he was a very interesting wild card. I will say that I think he was maybe a little bit inexperienced with the game, and by that, I'm looking at D&D from the perspective of it's a game that you win. It's a tactics game. It can be extremely difficult, and if you don't know how to play, and if you don't know where you fit in, then it's going to be hard. And then it's just about, can you take it on the chin? Can you not take it on the chin when things don't go your way? Randomness is a big part of the game. It just makes things interesting, and I love the fact that sometimes he would just have trouble like fulfilling that barbarian role, because it made things tougher for us. And losing is good because it makes us work harder, and we eke out those victories in spite of everything. And it reflects well, in my opinion, for like the personality of Borg. You know, maybe like we didn't really know all of his backstory, but my brain reels like maybe it was his first adventure. Maybe he was in over his head. Maybe, you know, like maybe he just, who knows? We didn't really get to explore his backstory, and I wish we could, you know. But I like, he was there. Yeah, that's canon, and he was very quiet. And but in my opinion, he was awesome. I loved Borg. Zosa, I really appreciated his kind of stoic nature. He was there to fight. What is there to talk about? You know what I mean? If we're not swinging swords, what are we even doing here? Like, I felt like that was Borg's vibe. And that is the heart of being a barbarian. I love that fact about him. As he was honestly, he was one of my favorites because he really didn't know what to expect. The less you know about a person, the more you watch them, you know. It's just a part of human nature. Yeah. Very interesting stuff.
It's very true. I will say, and interrupt real quick, just because I can. For anybody watching, if you're on the Twitter, tweet at Prater's Rejects. That's, you know, the name of the channel. And ask Duff who Andrew McCarthy is. Just
we're still trying to figure it out. I mean, it's
just tag Prater's Rejects in it. Just ask the question, hit post, and we'll let you know how much he yells at me for that. But
Jeff,
I'm just gonna Google Andrew McCarthy real
are you
quick.
trying to get something?
It's no, there's nothing that comes up. There's no result.
Yeah, I'm
A
scrolling.
C-rated
Love you,
actor.
Duff. Love you, Duff.
Scrolling.
I knew that'd get him to say something in chat.
St. Elmo's Fire. Never heard of it. Sounds like a dumb movie. Weekend at Bernie's. Never seen Weekend at Bernie's either.
Careful, if you say that about a specific movie, Duff is not going to be okay with you.
$12 million net worth. That sounds like it's not even worth mentioning, honestly. Oh well. I guess I'll circle back around on it if I can find the time. Whatever. Sounds like a joke. Like a joke of an actor.
God, he's gonna hate so much. I'm just
even if this is a VOD and you see this, please just still tweet.
Yes. Whenever you get to this part, whether it's, you know, a month or two later, and you're watching the upload on YouTube or what have you, just go ahead, tweet them.
It's just showing your support for the channel.
Yeah.
And Duff would never be angry about that, right, Duff?
Yeah, that's why he said like he can cancel this show.
At any moment.
I forgot to mention, by the way, Alfredo Mordecai Lorenzo IX is portrayed by none other than Andrew McCarthy.
None other than Duff.
He's my favorite actor. I'm not gonna lie, he's my favorite actor.
Well, now he's kissing up now that he's threatened to cancel the show.
Him and his wife Melissa McCarthy are just amazing.
Oh God.
I want to propose a toast to Andrew and Melissa McCarthy.
You're just looking for an excuse to take a shot.
What?
I mean,
what? Never.
Is anybody gonna drink this apple juice with me? I was gonna say alcohol. It's not alcohol.
It's apple juice.
Apple juice.
Never.
This one, I guess, will kind of go back a little bit beyond 2021 for the most part, kind of more into the beginning of the campaign. But did you all expect the campaign to be as difficult as it has been at times?
Well, nobody jumped the gun.
So
Just thinking about it.
I'm a latecomer. Just like in the Dragon Heist campaign, I did not start the game with you guys. I came in a couple sessions behind. I missed the whole first dungeon. So I heard that was insanely difficult, as it should be for first levels. You know, it's really hard for first through third level characters to live in general. So I want you guys to talk about just the first one for a minute.
I didn't think some of the Citadel was hard.
Who did?
In terms of
I sure did, because as the ranger that was very squishy, ran into every goddamn room and got pin cushioned.
What was the theme of the first dungeon?
So Meepo.
Yeah.
Meepo and Jar Drag.
Tickle corn.
Yeah.
Tickle corn.
There's a lot of memes I don't understand.
So we found a kobold named Meepo, and he told us about his pet dragon that escaped, and that, well, you can't just do the shop by yourself, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Sure you can.
He told us about his pet dragon that ran away, and so we went to go find him, and then apparently, I don't remember this, but Jeff said that Meepo jumped off a cliff or something.
He followed us up onto the platform where we get. So the elevator came down onto a sort of spire, and you sort of descend the spire down to the level where you enter the dungeon. He followed us up, and I knocked him off. I think that's the last we saw him.
Torrent knocked him off?
Yeah, he did something that made me attack him.
What?
Meepo found out we killed his dragon is what happened.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was getting upset, and I pushed him.
He was an evil dragon.
I feel like you just created the BBEG.
He'll be back someday.
With a big old dragon to fry your ass.
It's really appropriate that Torrent is still alive then.
I love it. I do love it.
It's a good plot point. There's there's a villain out there. We just haven't met him yet.
That's my favorite part about all this, is the fact that we've got so many characters in the world, who we've retired, and we can pull them out of retirement whenever we want, within reason. I absolutely love that, because this campaign, as I understand it, from not having read it yet, it's not even a campaign. It's just six individual, six, right? Something like six?
7.
Individual stories. 7? Okay. And they're not supposed to be related. But we're making them related because Bash is such a good DM. He's weaving it all together. And we've got people out there in the world doing things that are related to the campaign, maybe not really related to the campaign, but they're still out there. It's the best part to me, because we're creating the world of Waterdeep around us, around this Yawning Portal adventure. The fact that Torrent's still out there and Meepo is just this looming threat that Torrent doesn't know about yet.
It's hard to think of him as a looming threat.
You'll think better when he's a level 20 monk. He comes to challenge you to single combat.
A level 20 kobold sorcerer.
Yeah. And to surface back to the question that was asked, I don't think I was surprised that it was so hard, because we were warned before the module by Jeff himself, saying that our characters might live for 3 books, but they're going to die at some point.
There was an
It's inevitable.
Some Duragar that took me off guard initially.
Well, that was a random
trap, but the actual dungeon has killed multiple characters in multiple situations.
What was the hardest? Sorry, go ahead.
I wouldn't say it was surprising. I would just say we knew it was going to happen, just not when.
Yeah, what was the hardest dungeon that we've been through?
Probably White Plume Mountain.
Yeah,
because that's where we had a TPK essentially, and
we went down and Borg died, and then Yen died,
4 or 5
and then the
people
rest
died.
of the party technically, by definition, died. And then another party went down, and another person died.
Yeah.
So,
Loco,
it being hard more than it did come down to horrible decision making by a lot of characters.
So give us some examples. What were some bad decisions?
Well, the room that we were in, the inverted, what was it, a pyramid?
Ziggurat.
The terrarium room.
Yeah. And was it Zosa that came in just swinging and breaking glass and everything?
No, it was Vismond.
No,
That was
Vismond
Vismond.
cast Shatter and
Yeah.
shattered the entirety of the terrarium.
And that's where several characters died right there. So I don't know that it was all that hard. If we'd have thought about it a little bit instead of just YOLOing in, we did all.
Well, I don't think anybody died on that. It was when we went and fought
Bluto.
the Bluto, yeah.
Actually,
As a matter of
Vismond did
fact,
die.
Vismond
He
died.
went down. He didn't die.
No, he died.
Vismond died.
Oh.
we
Vismond
fully
died, and he
revivified
was
him.
resurrected. And in so doing, I was able to give you guys a little bit of behind-the-scenes knowledge through his afterlife shot. He was basically trapped in. He woke up in like the shadow plane, and he was surrounded by all of these really judgmental, cold beings of shadow, and he was confronted by the Raven Queen. And then at the end of the vision, right when he was brought back to life, you guys saw like this gargantuous demon charging into the plane of shadow, bringing all of this red fiery light into this dark, cold plane. And then he woke up in like an absolute panic from this otherworldly vision. Like you guys, like nobody should really know exactly what that means. It's just this terrifying vision. That's things that are happening beyond the material plane that relate to Vismond. The fact that he's a tiefling, the fact that he's, embraced, for lack of a better term, by the Raven Queen instead of like some fiend. Like he, everything about Vismond screams underdog, despite the fact that he's got great stats, like the best stats I've ever had in any character. Just great rolls. It was like 16, 16, 15, 15, 14, 14, something like that. Like just awesome scores. And that's not just due to like the rolling method that the DM uses. Because right after that, I got like some of the lowest ability scores I ever got anywhere. But the fact that he died, like, allowed me to play that little vision out. But yeah, he died in the inverted ziggurat, and he was an absolute fool for doing what he did, and he paid the price for it. And it kind of stands to reason. Like, he led to his own demise, and that's happened a couple times in a row. He's made decisions that have hurt the party because he's selfish, vindictive, and wants to be a showman. And he doesn't know how to drive the Ferrari, if you catch my meaning. He's imbued with all this power, and he is too stupid to understand the power he's wielding. So why was he even given that power to begin with? That's the story I'm trying to tell with Vismond.
And I want a preference too. For White Blue Mountain would have been a lot easier if we like didn't play out certain situations and if we just like went completely down there just to kill everything. I think
Sorry, go ahead.
I think us trying to resolve like the situation with I think like the King's Slug or whatever it was that was down there in the water. If we tried to fight him, we probably would have fucking died.
Wasn't that a different adventure? That was the Choltish adventure.
Oh yeah, you're right. It was Jolt. Never mind.
Mm-hmm.
But you still make a great point. Like, we ended up not fighting that thing.
Yeah,
but
we avoided that whole fight. Cholt would have been a lot. We probably would have died on Cholt, honestly, because the party was in really rough shape from that, from the curse of the
statue and the were-jaguar.
Mm-hmm.
That was a rough dungeon. Probably not the hardest White Plume takes
not-
to take. But
Not only did
White
Torrent turn
Plume
against
takes
the
it at
party,
the
but Fern
moment.
did too.
The related question is, which one was your favorite and least favorite? And we kind of made a consensus that we did not like that dungeon very much.
I mean,
And I think-
I liked it. It was just hard.
yeah, I liked it.
Really?
I think
Okay.
it really opened the eyes of, at least from my perspective, my character with Black Razor. There's a reason why he's still trying to figure out what to do with it. Same with Zosa.
if in terms of favorite and least favorite, if we're keeping it just within the adventure path and not the alt adventures we've done, I'd have to say my least favorite is Forge of Fury.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Forge of Fury was kind of kind of a slog, but that's
It
there's
just
so many there's so
There were some
many
things in
encounters in there.
in Forge of Fury that I think they just try to like rush.
I think my brain purged Forge of Fury from my memory.
Yeah.
I
And I don't know what my favorite would be. Probably Sunless Citadel, because it was our first one, and we had a lot of fun going through it with, you know, the interaction with Meepo and all the stuff. Early adventure party interaction stuff with RP and whatnot. Learning Verm's weaknesses and the whistle blowing and
Oh, no.
Oh god, that was great.
That wasn't Sunless, was it? I thought that was
yeah, that was
Forge.
Sunless.
No, it was
Was
Sunless.
it?
Yeah.
Damn.
I have to disagree. Personally, that's like you guys are free to feel the way you feel. For me, I thought that that first mountain with the Duragar was outstanding. I love the fact that there were multiple levels to it, and like they were their own separate dungeons, like on top of each other, and one led to the other, and there were like totally different vibes, totally different monster types. I feel like there was a lot that we didn't explore in that whole chapter. There was a succubus, I think, or something like that. Like there's some kind of succubus who like just escaped,
Ran away.
and we never got to find out what the hell she was doing there. So like I feel like there's a lot that we didn't open the door for. I guess it's hard to say. And of course, the protracted dragon battles are some of my favorite content on the whole show. We had two major battles with the dragon, and we almost we outright lost one and had to retreat in defeat, in terror. And then what happened to Zosa the second time when we had this ultimate plan and she just got vaporized? I mean, I say I like to lose, and how can you lose any harder than being vaporized before you roll initiative?
Yeah. I will give at least the audience and whatnot some context on that one. I believe it was Forge of Fury. In like one of the underground lake area, there is a young black dragon there. The group went down that path technically before they should have, but I'm not going to stop them. So they went down there. They had already confronted the dragon and escaped, went away, pretty much did the rest of the dungeon for the most part, and then came back. So the dragon knows that there's people here within the mountain, right? So I left it up to dice because 99% of the time that's what I do anyway. And I rolled. It would either be where it says it is in the book, you know, pretty much the same way that they found it the first time, or because dragons are not dumb creatures, is going to be more tactful and is going to be hiding up on a perch, you know, along the wall. And as soon as a character got to X spot that I had marked on the map, the dragon was just going to unload with his breath weapon. Well, I just so happened to roll for the dragon to be tactful, and it just so happened to be the Zosa landed on X, and then it was probably the highest breath weapon damage roll I've ever seen before in my life. 11 D8. Yeah, 11 D8, and it did 78 points of damage.
Yeah.
I think that deserves a shot, Ben.
Instant death.
Yeah.
She melted out of her armor. There was nothing left to save, almost.
But we did bring her back.
I know. Yeah. That's the best part. Despite everything in the battle that was occurring, you guys found a diamond in the treasure pile.
Yeah.
Got it over to Band-Aid. And then resurrected Zosa.
All within a minute.
All within 60 seconds. Can you talk about high stakes? That is the best part of D&D. That is one of the coolest stories that we've told so far.
While still
And-
having to fight the dragon.
I
While
think I
fighting
killed
the
it.
dragon.
I think Verm was on the treasure pile. And then I don't remember. I think I killed the dragon. Looked for something in the treasure pile, found a diamond, gave it to Torrent because he could swim. And then he swam to Band-Aid.
All of
He
the
gave it to
planning,
him.
all of the planning we did, all of the discussion, all the consumables we talked about using, like this perfect plan. And then for things to unfold the way they did, it
Definitely
was
overthunk it a little bit.
it was poetic. No, we didn't. Like we
No, honestly, it was great
plan
because you
Plan
all
worked.
spent like an hour concocting this plan.
Mhm.
And before it even starts, it immediately gets thrown out the window. And then it's just watching the panic set in and going, well, crap, what do we do now? Da-da-da. And I'm just sitting here going like,
poor
Well,
Bash is like,
Yep.
wow, I have to kill all these players now.
We're
They're gonna-
nothing
they're never
if
gonna
not
play
good
with
at improv.
Oh man,
that was
So I think
that was
Yen
fun.
was on the ceiling.
dude, it all
Spider
came together.
climb,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
And I think me and Torrent were
In
in
water walking.
water patrol. No, I don't think we were water walking. I think we were swimming under.
Some of you guys were swimming, some of you were water walking, and some of you guys were like had the ability to climb. I don't know if you guys were climbing or not.
No, I had a
Definitely
potion of
under.
spider climb that I
went-
used.
I went to the
Oh.
treasure pile and started hiding behind the massive treasure piles.
And I
That's
think,
so cool.
if I'm not mistaken, like Borg and Band-Aid were just on the main shore next to Zosa's body.
I also want to bring special light to Loco for Band-Aid's performance. Overall, like he was a really amazing, peaceful, and benevolent man. He really exemplified a light cleric Firbolg to a T. You know,
Well,
a man of the forest, the grandfather tree story. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and hands down, probably in the easily top 5 best characters this channel's seen, role played wise, and just character development.
Yes,
I would
absolutely.
agree with that.
I think Lionel's also up there.
Lionel's up there too, for sure.
And
Um,
Band-Aid was, nobody's probably going to believe this, but I play ESO, Elder Scrolls Online. My very first character I ever created was a guy named Band-Aid, and he was a healer. And I've kind of brought him from there. He just happened to be a furball because I wanted something gentle and kind. So, yeah. But we were talking a little bit earlier about what made us decide to create a character. And I hope nobody gets offended, but I've kind of made my characters as counterweights to the rest of the party. It seems like everybody they don't think and they just go in, and we end up getting in a whole lot of trouble. So I try to make my characters with a little bit of thinking process behind everything they do. One of these days I'm going to get out of that. But
Join the chaos.
for the time being, I don't know. It just seems like this group of real life characters or people, all their characters are very spontaneous, and I won't say non-thinking, but just very spontaneous. And I try to do the counterweight of somebody that likes to think a lot before we just shove our foot in the door type thing, or go through the door and get shot with a bunch of arrows type thing.
I am running through the list of characters we've had on the network, and I tend to agree with you. I think even Jonas was a very cold, careful, calculated individual tactically.
Judas.
I remember he hung out. Judas? Sorry. Yeah, Judas. He codenamed Judas because that was not his real name. Come on.
No, it definitely wasn't.
He hung in the back. He was very self-preservation minded, and that was really cool. I wanted to say that Zosa was also very careful, but I'll also say Zosa's young, so she's learning how to be a tactician. She has the heart of a tactician, but not the wisdom to be very safe, you know. So I think she was probably like the second safest in my playbook. I think Ophidius had the opportunity to be very safe and careful as well. Very, very careful, a prodigious thinker. A lot of my characters definitely have been a little thrown caution to the wind. And I do appreciate the counterweight. I think that's a really good like play off each other. I was gonna go ahead.
She was molded by her either circumstances or the outcomes of whatever happened. Like she wanted to put off this aura of being really tough, but when something happened and we either got pushed back, defeated, or whatever, that seemed to skew her thinking about life in general. It seemed like to me, and I like that part. I like the part that you were able to basically grow her in front of us. I like that.
She was going through crisis after crisis. Mm-hmm. She was fleeing from a disaster in Chult, a disastrous extraplanar defeat in Chult, delving into dungeons. And here she is again. She just can't seem to get out of that kind of role. And so she's trying to keep everybody together, keep everybody alive, not have a repeat of what happened last time. And it just keeps fucking happening. Sometimes to her and usually to her friends. And she's not wise enough to withstand that kind of trauma. And so, yeah, I wanted to play her more traumatized, actually, but it kind of was not fun for the show. I felt like I was bringing too much of a mopey, woe is me kind of aspect to the show, which is kind of sort of why I retired her. I was like, okay, she's so traumatized, maybe she just won't go back down the hole ever again, so that's why I had her retire and bring in someone else. And I was like, well, who does want to go down the hole? And my next character was Vismond. That's all he's ever going to do is dive bomb down the hole face first. He's the exact opposite. So
one of my favorite older characters was Verm. I think we all enjoyed him. But my two favorite characters now are the brothers.
I love them.
Brother.
Oh, yeah.
Brother.
So great, man.
Brother.
Yeah.
Always
man.
the bickering. Always with the bickering.
Yeah.
I love how they reference Mother. I'm going to tell Mother you did this. She will not be pleased.
These two characters do have a backstory. They have parents that live far away, and they did live the family life for a good while.
Yeah, we have a pretty well hashed out backstory centered around Neverwinter. But
I have one question for the brothers.
Who's the
favorite to Mother?
Oh,
that's a tough.
Definitely the firstborn. Yeah.
I don't think that's true. I feel like
not to mention being sorcerer is my first class. I was innately born with magic, which comes from the family.
Enoch
was not born innately with magic.
So he's an outcast.
They sent Enoch away to
boarding school
to learn how to be a scribe.
Church school.
Basically, they sent him away.
They sent you off to military school, man. And
military
meanwhile,
church school.
Meanwhile, Rowan was living the carefree life with Zeus. He's like Hercules.
Becoming a very powerful magic wielder.
Why don't I get to frolic in the fields, Mother? You must practice your sword drills.
Speaking of characters that you didn't quite get to play how you wanted them, I ended up changing Yin's dynamics a little bit because originally I had built her to be a party leader. Maxed out charisma to 19 off the start.
Well.
Took it over strength or dex for a fighter for fun, and didn't quite work out that way.
Yeah,
went to some dark things later on to the campaign.
Turned to lycanthropy, but no, I just felt like Yin got overshadowed by a couple other characters and their voices, and so I just kind of backed off of that and went more to the battle tactician side of Yin, where she's gonna get into a fight but then command the battle or attempt to. Health didn't help me there.
That natural one on that hit die roll.
Yeah,
man.
the natural run on level 2 did not help.
I thought it was really, really funny that I came into the game torrent intentionally with no backstory, and the party basically wrote his backstory, and he turned into this like local lore legend. Some
We
sort
made
of
a one
urchin
shot from his
Waterdeep.
backstory.
And yeah, he had this whole little pizza adventure with a bunch of
man.
turtle guys. I thought that was really
You're
funny.
awesome.
Let's not talk about that. That gives me a headache.
We're gonna come back to that, and we're gonna give that a good 30 minutes.
A part
But
two
before we
one day?
do, I wanna circle back around to Yen as a leader. So you had the whole first campaign, the full first chapter, to figure that out. Do you feel like that was a problem with you as a player and your ability to like have that leadership mindset? I mean, like leaders are gonna try to lead no matter who else is in the room. So who are the voices who you felt were drowning you, Sam, out? And I want to preface this by saying this is pre-Zosa.
I felt like Yin worked well in the first dungeon with Verm, because we kind of together led the party through the rooms in the dungeon.
Worm was played a lot differently from how Zosa saw him being played compared to what happened in the first book.
Oh, really? See, I didn't even
Yeah.
go to watch that campaign.
Verm
That
was
first chapter.
for the first book. He mostly used melee weapons.
Scimitars.
And then, no.
What?
Well, yeah, he did use scimitars. Yeah, but he used rapiers.
But in terms of, it might have been me from a player perspective to an extent, but at the same time, in other games, I take up a leadership role a lot of the time, and in life, in sports and stuff, I had a leadership role. So it's not necessarily out of my character, but it just felt like Yin wasn't going to fit that role from a player standpoint, so I kind of just backed her down.
I found it also really unlucky that trying to be the party phase two with like convincing the kobolds in the first book that we were going to help them and that the dragon is alive and you like rolled like a 2 on your persuasion check. It kind of seemed like it was always really low persuasion checks from Yen.
Which
And she had a decent plus.
Because I was gonna say I'm looking at her sheet right now. I took intimidation and persuasion as 2 of my skills to know, and so I had +7s on them. I just never got good charisma rolls. Every time I went to roll charisma, it was under a 10.
That's how the game can screw you over. That's kind of why I like Pathfinder more, sort of. I'm on the fence. Pathfinder is great for some things and really bad for other things. But you can really max out a particular skill if you want to be good at it. There's a way to be good at it, no matter who you play. You know, with D&D, you're kind of fixed from the word go. Like unless you take like rogue levels to really max out a particular skill with expertise or something. Even if you want to be that charismatic leader, just as a straight fighter, it's really hard. You're only ever going to have like a +5 or 6 unless you expend serious resources like maxing out charisma when fighters don't really need charisma, or multiclassing, like I said before. You know, so like I feel like you just don't have as much flexibility to be a charismatic leader in D&D. If you're not playing the right class for it. Like a rogue can definitely do it. A fighter can do it. It's just harder for a fighter, which kind of sucks. A paladin can do it, but
I think it just came down to the dice rolls at that point too.
Yeah,
And like you said, you can get like a major bonus, but like if you rolled above like a 10,
good.
You had a 7 in the end.
I mean, she rolled above like a 10 on her normal dice, and it would be like 17, but she always rolled below like a 5 on persuasions.
Yeah, you really got to like role play your loss, role play your failure. So like when I'm DMing, sometimes I'll have them roll first, and then I'll be like, "So, what'd you say that made you fuck up so bad?" Like, I want you to take this person who's really good at charisma, and I want you to say something that reflects your natural too. Like maybe they said something that was out of custom and you just didn't know what the local custom was, or maybe you burped in the middle of your speech. You know, like who knows? Just weird stuff like that. I feel like Zosa was sort of raining on your parade in the leadership department, for which I will, kind of apologize because I was just playing Zosa. Like, I don't know what the character's going to do. They do it. I'm just talking, But I do feel like she kind of rained on your leadership parade, and I'm just trying to give you the room to do that with her being obedient. Like she's a soldier. Like leadership is in her DNA, but that kind of helped me shape her as a fledgling paladin when you told me that you wanted to be the leader of the group. And I was like, okay, cool. I can kind of play her off as like someone who's in training. And so that was my thoughts on the Yenia leadership thing. What?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I don't know why that happened. Sorry.
I found Band-Aid more as a leadership than I did for Zosa in all actuality.
Definitely.
Well, and Yin had the soldier
Hey, you're
standpoint
muted,
as
Loco.
well. Oh.
Still muted.
Still muted.
Sorry, I was muted. That was never intended. Band-Aid never wanted to be a leader of anything.
No, I don't think it was either. I think it just worked out that way, though.
The wisdom was one thing, and I know that's a good leadership quality, but that was never his intention. That's why he always stayed in the back. Of course, he was a healer, so.
I mean, being a leader doesn't necessarily mean you have to be up in the front line.
No, I know, but
Sometimes you need to be in the back because you're relying on the others to do the fighting while you think.
The amount of times this party would have been absolutely fucked without Band-Aid is astronomical. If Band-Aid wasn't there for 90% of the fights, it would have gone down a whole different way.
Not to put too fine a point on it.
It's just true.
Absolutely.
Need to stop dying.
Yes.
yes.
This bitch is looking rough.
Yeah.
This bitch is looking rough.
Sometimes it's just looking rough.
They did. That was somebody pulling him around.
Kirsten.
That was part of Zosa's introduction, was like finding out who the leader is, who she's going to be subordinate to. And it really fell on Band-Aid kind of in that moment, where you kind of adopted this person who's going to look to you for guidance, even though you're not the leader. Because they kind of like practical joked Zosa.
Yeah, I did. I walked up to you and I said, I'm the party leader. What's up? And I think we rolled deception and insight, and I rolled above you. And,
I was like, got it. I just want to take a moment, guys, and pour one out for our fallen heroes.
Our fallen heroes.
Zosa, Band-Aid, Borg, Yenia,
Eldar.
Eldar,
The first to fall.
also Eldar,
Down
Eldar
there.
again. Also Eldar. I don't want to forget Eldar.
Sheesh.
Eldar,
And I ain't kidding you.
Talmir,
Vismond.
Vismond? Question mark.
Vismond did die at one point, technically.
I'll drink to that. I'll say Band-Aid again. Band-Aid, especially Band-Aid. He's missed. Really missed. Zosa.
Burden.
She'd never be able to play into
Burden,
overnight.
a dead son of a bitch.
Burden, never heard of him.
Same here. I'm so glad out of any of my characters that died in an episode, it was that crazy motherfucker. I'm
glad.
glad.
I'm kind of disappointed we didn't get to see him for very long.
Didn't he? His whole shtick was that he hit on women.
Oh
hit on
no,
people?
he just
His flaw
really
was,
liked sex.
his flaw that he rolled randomly for was like insatiable urges of the carnal pleasure.
Nice.
Well, he was a cat, so he liked
Yeah.
to be pet.
Yeah, we'll
Sure.
go with that. And yeah, unfortunately, we just didn't get to explore that because.
Well, he technically
He did.
kind of did. He hit on Zosa at the beginning part, and then 12 hours later passed away.
Yeah.
That's what you get.
It's a sign. Don't hit on those.
That's
That
what
is
happens
true.
when you fuck with Zosa. That was Helden's way of just smacking you down. I want
Go
to
to
ask,
horny jail, bunk.
hey Bash,
Yeah.
it's your turn. What was your favorite And I mean from a DM perspective. What was your favorite to like plan out and prepare for? What was your least favorite to plan out and prepare for? I want to let's get some behind the curtain action while I go grab another beverage.
Honestly, my favorite would probably be everything that's actually not in the book, because it's essentially what I throw together and put together.
And stuff from TPK games.
Yeah, and stuff from TPK games, which is always fun. But as far as the campaign goes, obviously my favorite stuff is the I guess the overarching story between all of the Yawning Portal adventures. Because the Yawning Portal adventures, I mean, all I have to do is run them. Like, I don't really, there's not a whole lot of prep once the adventure starts going. You know what I mean? Because it's some of those adventures are like 40 something years old. Like, they've been around for a while.
Older than some of the players.
Yeah.
I had a long shot.
Yeah. And technically one of them is technically older than D&D is. So there's that. But as far as, I guess, the adventures part itself, oh man, it's tough because on one side, like, I don't set out, like, as I know we joke about it a lot, but I don't set out every session to just kill all of your characters.
That's a lie.
If it happens, it happens. Like,
23 criticals.
I don't
Right.
I don't pull my dice, you know, the dice fall how the dice fall.
I mean, yeah, in the dice mod.
That reminds me. Yeah, can we talk about how successful that dice mod has been for you? Like the crit generator, like that has been your bread and
Absolutely
butter.
Worth every
insane.
penny.
Bread and butter.
Well, you also have, yeah, I mean, I wish, but you all also have to remember, granted, the Bluto fight ended in a TPK, yes. However, how many of we'll say the bad guys ended up getting themselves killed because I rolled that many ones as well?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay. Did you pull punches during that fight trying to save us?
No.
I think you did.
Nope.
I think you did. Making them like be so incompetent. Really? I thought it was fun.
They rolled nat
I thought it was really fun. They did roll nat ones.
Smacked Bluto.
Yeah, I rolled nat ones, and it just kind of started off as kind of, you know, a meme, a joke type thing. It's like, oh, do they hit Bluto? And I was like, yeah, screw it, let's find out. Yeah, they hit him, you know. So now he's pissed.
One of them
and
crit Bluto, like,
think
and it
so.
still didn't help us that much.
I don't think the guards did that much damage. It was Bluto that was the main powerhouse.
By the numbers, that was almost an unwinnable. Like, in my opinion, it's almost unwinnable.
Yeah, that particular encounter is
Rerolled bad too.
yeah.
So we couldn't hit anything.
Consider like old school hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's and what blew my mind is I've played and ran White Plume Mountain so many times over the 20-30 years, and I've had and seen player characters die in that battle. I have never seen or had a TPK in the Bluto battle.
Well, the darkness fucked us too.
Well, there's a first time for everything.
Yeah, I have seen it with, at least with White Plume Mountain, pretty much the number one main area that TPKs usually tend to happen is the terrarium. because that
I mean,
Oh,
honestly,
that was easy.
yeah,
it
by
was-
CR, that was the hardest encounter in that.
Wow.
if we, however, that also could be taking into account fighting that halfling warrior, and then directly fighting the things in the aquarium.
Yeah, but even then, the things in the aquarium didn't hit hard. There was just a lot of them, and they had hell.
I mean, yeah, that's the whole
If
thing.
you played
though,
smart and like just funneled them into the room, you're fine.
which we didn't
Yeah,
do.
yeah. Visman kind of hopped into the middle of that, and then he just got some unlucky damage.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a tough fight, but I don't know.
yeah, and also if it would have just been the 5 of you, it would have been a much tougher fight. Because at that point in time, you had Urkaz and his crazy fey bullshit spells.
And Talmir and Visman.
The outsiders.
Mm-hmm.
It stands to reason that we did so poorly because we had such a bad party dynamic. There was a lot of
Well, Urkaz's Blood Rose Field helped a lot.
It
That
was
fight.
fucking nuts.
That was clutch.
didn't even require concentration.
Well, now it did
Which
after
I
does
call
now.
bullshit a lot.
it did after that.
Yeah, it did. Oh, it did after that, and then it did less
The fact that
scaling
it grew
damage.
up in
Low-key
damage.
Spirit Guardian needs concentration too. Let's be real. Or spiritual weapon.
Spirit weapon wasn't as OP though. It's not like spirit weapons damage increases every time somebody dies from it,
Nobody can outcast it.
and you still have to hit people with it. It was just that or if they moved, I think, in the field, they would take the damage.
You know,
Start, move, or in their turn, they took damage,
Mhm.
and it was difficult terrain.
Yeah.
Yeah, we edited that spell a lot
Yeah, you could
to
tell.
make it's still it can still pack a major wallet, but not as guaranteed.
And then, as further penance, we had Urkas vaporize himself.
Mm-hmm.
He committed
I mean,
Harikari.
speaking about that too, we're going to his home. He was a Thay wizard,
Mm-hmm.
and that would have been really interesting to see what would happen if he was still with us.
I'll keep my mouth shut.
There's going to be a lot of interesting things to happen in the next adventure and after the next adventure because of the
Rowan's going to be useless.
Yeah.
Why?
counterspell.
Does he have counterspell?
No,
All the wizards and Thay do.
he's
Oh,
just
really?
going to get counterspelled constantly.
Okay, so we gotta talk. Okay, so Alex had the right idea during the thing the first fight we had. You declare you're gonna cast a spell. Do you want to counterspell it? Yes or no? And then there's this trust thing that has to happen because the problem is we're trying to not get counterspelled, right? We're trying to
can lie
not get
about
our
what spell
best
you're gonna
spells
cast.
counterspelled. Exactly. That's the problem. That's a really tough thing to deal with, whether online or in person.
Yeah.
By the rules, if you want to determine what the spell is going to be, you have to spend your reaction analyzing it. Rules as written. And then by that point, you've used your reaction and you cannot counterspell it, even if you know what it is. So that's tough. And then, like, you can declare you want to cast a spell, and then he has to decide without knowledge whether he wants to counterspell it or not. And then
And at what
if he
level
says,
to
"Yeah, I'm going to
counterspell
counterspell it," you know, and then what level? Yeah, what level counterspell? And then you can decide what spell you actually casted, like with this foreknowledge.
The way
So-
I get about it is I say I'm casting a certain level spell, not the spell I'm casting. Like, example A, during that fight, I said, I'm going to cast a 4th level spell. Do you want to counterspell it? I find that a little bit more fair, but
That's how I run counterspell.
they
in my
wouldn't
games.
necessarily know exactly what level you're casting it at, but you could always just make an Arcana check like Post did.
Like that.
I would go ahead.
Yeah, the mortuary battle was something I put together. You know, that was part of the in between the written adventure parts, like the overarching story. And those wizards, believe it or not, I intentionally nerfed them from what their actual stat blocks were, because those 3 wizards and those 3 essentially they had the blackguard stat block was like a CR 18, I think, encounter.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The wizards
got like 2K experience from it.
Yeah, y'all got a lot of XP from it. But the wizards I intentionally nerfed. I had one that was basically casting the big heavy hitting spells. I had one that all they did was cast counterspell. And the other one, all he cast was magic missile. That was it. That was all they did. That's why anytime somebody went to go want to like cast a spell, counterspell dude number 1 would be the first one on the list to go, nope, counterspell. And that's all they did. Magic missile guy, up until he died, all he did was cast magic missile.
If you really want to fuck with your players, have them cast magic missile as a reaction whenever a spellcaster tries to cast a spell and target that spellcaster. That would make them force a concentration check, or they lose a spell in the middle of casting.
Yeah. That would be funny.
And then so it's like this Mexican standoff thing where it's like, who's going to cast the first spell? I know what you're going to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which I knew was aggravating Sam, because when Rowan would go in there to try and do any sorcerer cleric type stuff, it would get counterspelled until damn it.
Umami.
Yeah, until Umami started basically
burning the counter spell.
Yeah, burning up the counter spells.
Yeah.
It's like it wasn't in me intentionally going, haha, I'm gonna sorcerer cleric ain't gonna cast shit. No, it was anybody cast a spell, it's getting counterspelled. It just so happened to be it just so happened to be the first couple ones was you, because you kept trying to cast a spell until the bard started casting spells, and then I don't even care what they were trying to cast, whatever. But it was getting counterspelled. So until he ran out of spell slots.
The reaction.
Until he ran out of spell slots, and he just had to fall back on cantrips. But they had a lot of spell slots. So
I do like the idea of making it so you can recognize the spell as a free action instead of a reaction. Like basically the exact same rule as in the book, except it's just a free action that can happen outside of your turn.
I threw my ruling on how I run Counterspell in Discord. That's how I do it.
I absolutely agree with what you posted.
You all continue with that. I hear a knock on my door. So,
oh, DoorDash.
My chicken nuggie.
Chicken nuggies.
My Chucky milk.
And my McRib.
I wonder, yeah, the McRib. Delivered by Mr. Andrew McCarthy.
So I will be right back.
So I'll just read what you posted, just so like our millions of audio listeners can understand like what we are talking about. And so for counterspell, you must have a direct line of sight to the caster. If you wish to know the spell, you can roll an Arcana check, DC 15 plus the spell level. Is that from the book? That seems a little high.
No.
If you've encountered the spell previously, it can be at advantage, and if it's on your prepared spell list, you will automatically know it. I love that. But
yeah, I made it 15 plus the spell level, because if it's not in any of your prepared spells, or if you've never encountered it, you wouldn't really know. So it would be a higher DC, in my opinion.
Yeah, normally I consider 15 to be hard by itself, and then you're also adding the spell level on top of that, and like that might be reflected in the fact that like you're in the midst of combat, but I do consider that to be pretty high.
I mean, not to mention too,
most creatures that have counterspell are going to be proficient in Arcana, so they're going to have at least a +5 to 8 probably.
Yeah.
And if we're going off like a base wizard, let's say, they're not going to know healing spells or the same spells that a cleric has. So what are the times that they've encountered this or casted that spell? It's slim to none.
And low level characters, you know, it's going to be harder for them to pass the check. But once you hit like tier 2, like levels 10 through 12, you're going to start getting advantage on those checks because those spells would have been casted on you before. You would have seen them cast in combat situations.
I also like Alex's idea of declaring the level of the spell. That's a happy middle ground to combat this uncertainty about what you're going to cast versus what's going to get countered.
You don't say the name of the spell. You just say, I'm casting a spell above. You could even simply say, like, above 3rd level, because I believe counterspell's a 3rd level spell.
Yeah. Well, no, I
would
really
just strictly go with the level, but
I think it has to be the level.
The problem with that is,
you can still cheat.
Think anybody here would do it, but if you say the level, even the spell name, you're giving the ability for the other person to meta the counter spell.
Yeah. I think declaring,
like, if you say I'm going to cast a 5th level spell, well then they'll be like, well, I'll cast a 5th level counter spell. I mean,
yeah, but then I think that would still require an Arcana check. Just say, like, you need to roll for it per se, instead of just saying I cast a spell.
Yeah, it's really going to take some experimentation. There's a trust thing going on here, and it's easy to cheat, honestly. So, like, I think we're still figuring things out. I think we should play with the rules that we've got here that you've laid forth, Sam. I think that's really important for us to solidify, because we're going to be dealing with counterspell apparently all day long for the foreseeable future.
I think doing just saying that you cast a spell, and then if they want to know the level or the spell, they roll that Arcana check. If they fail the Arcana check, they don't know. Mm-hmm. And then you say, if they don't counterspell, you say what spell you're casting and at what level you're casting it at. Just have to trust us. There's no reason for anybody. Like, we're all honest individuals here. You know what you want to cast. Cast it where you're going to cast it.
Don't declare your spell until after the Arcana check has succeeded or failed. So, like, they either pass or fail the Arcana check, and then they can decide if they want to cast Counterspell, because it's at that point that they're going to know the level of the spell or not.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to make a choice.
Comes with the statement of you're going to Counterspell.
Yeah. So
you don't just get it for free.
Yeah, I know. So what he's going to say is, Alex is going to say, I'm going to cast a spell. And then Bash is going to say, all right, well, I'm going to try to identify the spell. I'm going to roll an Arcana check. I got a 14. All right, well, automatically that's a fail because the DC is 15 plus the spell level. And then maybe he'll say, I got a 24. So that's probably going to pass. If he got like a 17, that means he can detect a 2nd level spell or lower. And then, like, this is the point where you get to either fudge or be honest and say, fail. 17 wasn't high enough. You don't know what spell I was going to cast. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a little bit of room for fudging if we wanted to fudge. We can all declare we're going to be friends here. You know what I mean? But I'm just trying to, like, we're trying to really get into the nitty gritty outside of our actual gameplay, so we can, like, build this etiquette before it becomes a problem in the future.
Yeah, me, however the dice fall, it's how the dice fall. Like, whether it's good for me or good for you or bad for me or bad for you, the dice fall how the dice fall.
And it's got to go in both directions. When you, Bash, want to cast a spell, you should declare you want to cast a spell and give us a chance to counterspell appropriately or detect what spell you're going to cast. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to have to work the same way in both directions. Although I don't think any of us can do that right now.
Declare your counterspell before you roll the check.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
And you can declare
really?
the level. Yeah. You need to say you're going to counterspell, then you get the free check to determine if you want to cast that at a higher level or not.
Oh, I tend to disagree because the mage, if we're getting into the mind of the mage is going to see the spell as it's being cast. And so he's going to be able to recognize, he might be able to recognize if it's just like a cure spell or if it's a really deadly black tentacle spell. So I would posit that the mage who wants to counterspell will roll the Arcana check first. So he gets a chance to know what's going to be cast and make a more informed decision based on his knowledge of Arcana about whether he really wants to counterspell that or not. So I would say, like, if we're looking at it like a Magic the Gathering stack of actions that happen in a certain order, the spell gets cast, that goes on the stack first. Then the mage who wants to counterspell, he says, okay, I'm going to try to identify your spell. So whether he passes or fails, he might get some extra information. And based on that information, he'll say, okay, I'm going to counterspell that. And then the other person might say, I'm going to counterspell your counterspell. Or whatever. It'll get a little bit of nitty gritty once we really get into the gameplay, especially as more spellcasters come into the game. But I feel like the mage should have a chance to learn what the first spell is going to be based on that Arcana check, and then decide if he wants to counterspell, or he's like, that's not worth spending my resources. You do your thing, homeboy. I'm still going to fireball you next turn anyway. You know what I mean? We're throwing spaghetti at the wall right now. This is the perfect forum for us to just kind of talk about it. Because if we're doing this in the middle of combat in Thay, it's not going to be fun radio. But I feel like this is a perfect chance for us to flesh out what it's going to be like on the day of. I don't know. You guys may have different opinions,
I think they should have a chance to decline the counterspell or accept it. But that's just what I believe. At the end of the day, whatever rules we say don't really matter. It's what Jeff wants to do.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, and we're putting our theories out there, and he can decide. What's going to be A, fair, B, good for the game, and C, fun to listen to, because we're going to be counterspelling each other like crazy all day long. Especially if someone like Ophidius comes back. Ophidius had counterspell, and he might come back one day.
Yeah,
he left with an artifact. Asshole.
Yeah, when you bring a whole lot of mages, especially wizards, into the mix, that's pretty much when a lot of that kind of, I don't want to say starts getting out of hand, but it can drag some things along. Perfect case in point would be the Crit Roll Season 2 finale battle, where it was literally a counterspell battle for half the session.
Yeah, and we want to be careful to make sure that it's still good radio.
Yeah.
If we're just counterspelling each other all day long, it might not be very entertaining.
Yeah.
Well, I'm about the only one that is a hard full caster here, so.
Well, I think the idea of trying to learn what the other guy's casting and then making that decision in the moment based on the knowledge you get, I think that adds more suspense and value than just blindly guessing, I guess I'll counterspell this time. Every single time Rowan casts a spell, the enemy mage is faced with the choice. And he's using his years of study in Thay to see if he recognizes Rowan's weird lightning magic. Or, the best part is, Bash could decide to counterspell even if he fails. It's like a chance for him to get more knowledge by rolling that Arcana check. When you cast your spell, the wizard is going to be like, do I know that spell? I didn't know that spell. I'm going to counterspell anyway because I don't trust you. You know what I mean? It doesn't look like you're casting a heal spell. It looks like you're trying to chain lightning everybody in the room. And that guy owes me money. I don't want him to die until he pays me back. You know what I mean?
Wizard Bob owes me $20.
Wizard Bob owes me $20, and I don't want him dying until he pays me back. After that, you can shove lightning all the way up his
Keister.
Oh, I can't say the B word. Keister, yeah.
His Keister.
His Keister. His quiche.
It's prison wallet.
This is really good discussion, in my opinion. We have 12 viewers. That's above average.
It depends. Sometimes we have more, sometimes we have less. It's just how it's the nature of the beast.
Depends on whether or not the party's lives are in danger or not. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Was there ever a moment in the campaign so far? I know, Ben, you missed out on the the Sunless Citadel adventure, but where you all just felt like This is just absolutely ridiculous. This is overboard. Like, what the hell is somebody thinking?
Making everything in the fucking dungeon immune to the stun condition.
Well, that's because fuck monks, but
Well, monks are well known to have like the weakest class. Like that's the weakest class in the game by far.
Ben, I'm
Ranger.
real. You are not spitting facts right now.
Really?
Ranger is the weakest class. Then
I mean, yeah, Ranger has issues.
Monk isn't that bad. It's just the only thing that it doesn't have going for it is the health pool. I would say they get high AC, they get abilities to cancel somebody's turn completely. They get extra attacks also on top of their normal 2. It's just they don't get high health because they're D8, but that also you could always take like the tough feat or something like that to negate it.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. Ranger. Well, okay. A lot of people
Ranger's
have tried
really good for RP.
A lot of people have tried to fix the Ranger, including wizards themselves. Nobody has tried to fix the monk. The monk sucked from the very beginning, and it never ever got fixed or addressed.
Well,
people have been trying really hard to
say-
fix the Ranger.
I would say
And
certain
I just don't see monks being
certain subclasses of monk are definitely weak. Like the way of Kensei, the way of the 4 like elements or something like that. Way of the open hands, way of the shadow. Those are 2 very meta builds.
Kensei's actually seen as a pretty good build for monk.
The only decent build
Uh-huh.
for the monk is the Way of Mercy, which came from Tasha's. That has some decent output for damage and healing. I feel like the monk is deeply constrained by its Kai, like the limited resource of Kai. In certain subclasses, like they give monks so many other ways to use Kai, but they never give them more Kai. They are always starved for Kai. Some of the rangers are great. Like the Gloomstalker Ranger is absolutely super powered.
Hunter.
Hunter's decent.
Hunter's probably the most commonly played one, just because of
The additional
bonuses they
damage
get.
on top, yeah.
The Beastmaster universally sucks no matter what you do, and it
Except
really
they reworked it and it's better now.
It's a little
It's
bit
a
better, but it's still one of the weaker options for Ranger.
deeply flawed, and its
very
faction
campaign
economy is
dependent.
not fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say it would work better in a homebrew world, but
But anywho, back on the question at hand of a
Yeah.
moment we thought was ridiculous. For me, I would have to say the Bluto fight just
Mhm.
seemed kind of disproportionate to everything else we came across.
Concur.
Dumping all the magical darkness, the crazy amount of just damage output.
I feel like I made it worse by casting darkness, especially for Loco. I feel like Visman really screwed the party on that one, which is it's kind of poetic in a way because he was the very last to fall, and it was only because of a crit that he managed to actually fall. He could have escaped had it not been for that very last natural 20. As he was leaving on an attack of opportunity, he got struck down at the last second. But yeah, casting that darkness was like an instinct move for him, and that really limited Loco's ability to go in and heal people. And so some of them just ended up dying outright in the darkness. So that really sucked. And Visman didn't have the presence of mind to drop the darkness. He felt like he was safe in the darkness.
well, I would say the main issue with the darkness was we were all like pinned down by those nets. They gave us like I think the restrained condition.
Got out of them pretty quickly, I thought.
Most of us stayed in them.
I feel like the darkness sort of evened the playing field, but even then, it was just a raw numbers game. There were so many of them against us, and they had so many attacks, and the crits just did not stop. Like, it was just a really bad time. So, I feel like the number of attacks, was a little ridiculous. The whole circumstances of that ambush were bad enough before Visman was even a factor, and then Visman made things worse. So You know,
You definitely tell that encounter was made back in the day.
oh yeah, that's old school hard.
Yeah.
Like Bash said.
Yeah, that was definitely the old school hard moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was no save for the nets.
That sucked. There's no
Yeah.
save for the nets.
There was no attack. Yeah.
That's the only one I can think of. That's the only one that was like really, really hard where I felt like it was ridiculous. Everything else felt like
The Sunless Citadel, that boss fight was also very tasking.
It was hard, but it wasn't.
We would have been TPK'd if we didn't get the short rest card.
I think it was harder because of some questionable decisions made at the time.
Yeah, I mean,
That and you all were like level 3.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
we
We
were
were level
level.
3. It wasn't hard. I mean, it was hard, but it wasn't like a impossible encounter. If we would have
think-
stopped and rested beforehand,
I think that's when
Holy-
Verm first died.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken.
Like, honestly, because thinking back on it now, the biggest folly that kind of really
Blowing the whistle.
No, not that. That kind of put a handicap to start on that battle in Sunless Citadel was you all went excuse me, straight from the room that had the shade that affected some of you all,
Strike scores.
and then straight, it basically just kind of went all the way down straight into the boss fight. But
Well, our
Sam
strength scores got
without
reduced.
a rest or anything. Like I believe that battle would have been difficult even if you all were at 100%, so to speak. But the strength drain and not getting at least a short rest or something in before just kind of made it worse for you all. But I will say one thing I do remember from that battle is that sorcerer chick was putting in work with that dagger.
Yeah, she was.
It's like she ran out of spells real quick. Couldn't do anything with the cantrips, but man, she was putting in work with that dagger. Again, that all just came down to dice rolls too. So, let's see. Anybody watching is more than welcome to ask questions in chat.
Yeah, Kenzie.
Except Duff, because he'll probably just yell at me. But I mean, he can
He's
say
playing
whatever
War.
anyway.
He
He ain't
busy.
watching. Yeah.
The only time he pitches in is if Andrew McCarthy's mentioned whatsoever.
Hey Bash, is there anything you want to tell us about anything in particular that we've missed that like you really wanted us to find but you couldn't say anything? Like throughout any of the chapters or custom content?
The Hidden Shrine of Tomoe-chan. In a way, I'm kind of glad you all didn't fully explore that area.
So are we.
But at the same time, like certain areas that you all did go, like I wish you didn't go that way, but you went towards the areas that you didn't go. Because there were potentially some interesting encounters and stuff in there. Like, for example, there was one entire area that you all just shot right past that led up to a room that had an axe embedded in the wall. And basically there was a vampire coffin in the room. You had to battle the vampire, which would have been much lower level than the one from White Plume Mountain, but and the axe was a Berserker Axe, which at that time, given the party makeup, could have made for some interesting role play amongst the party. So
I would like to confirm that Duff is in fact listening. He server muted me.
yeah,
What is a Berserker Axe?
it's a cursed axe that if you take damage, you have to make a save, and if you fail, you go berserk. like like
You attack everything around you.
yeah, you
essentially.
like everything around you is a potential target, including
Just see
your
red.
party.
Put that in Borg's hands.
Like my pig's arse cocktail that I have my players drink occasionally.
Oh, really?
Like that would have been
Yeah.
fun. The White Plume Mountain, you all can. Well, I mean, the way that one's kind of written out, you kind of have to explore the entire thing.
Yeah, you do.
The Forge of Fury, I think there was a couple of things that you all missed out on, but nothing like really big or major. That it would have just been like more funny than anything.
No. So, I did go back and read that chapter after we were done with it, and I know that we missed like a whole like half a floor. I think it had a really awesome, brutal encounter that we totally dodged.
What was that? I can't remember. I'd have to go reread it again. It's
It was
a lot. It's been a long time, so
it was a
Been a
roper.
while.
So
oh yeah,
there was this amazing battle that could have happened that we totally dodged, and thank God we did, because it probably would have killed us. It was versus a
Ropers
roper.
are tough.
Dude, it looked super tough, and it was buffed up by like some in-story content. Like it had spent time eating nothing but gemstones or something, so it was like super AC buffed.
yeah, that one. Okay, yeah,
And,
I remember it now. I remember now.
And that was like in a whole other section of the dragon lair that we never ever went to. I think, or
No,
maybe
that
it was
sounds about
deeper
right.
than that. Yeah, and that was really intense, and I'm really glad we never found it.
Yeah. There was a lot that was missed in Bleak Harvest, but I also knew that with the characters that were coming back, that unless I just went from, introducing the story, you all getting there and then going straight to the boss fight, like there was no way that was going to be a one shot. I knew better.
Did you think anybody was gonna die? Because nobody died. I'm surprised.
I honestly, I think if it would have been the Yawning Portal characters, probably.
Oh, really?
But the Dragon Heist characters, just because of the balance of the party on that one, like it was just like we'll see. Like I didn't think, I honestly didn't think it was going to be a TPK for sure, like at all.
I mean, Gray Axe got kind of just useless.
Yeah.
Made
I mean,
useless that
Genmare
entire
was
fight.
knocked unconscious for 7 rounds too.
Yeah. And on the flip side, Ozric and Lionel were just hanging out in the back, drinking pops, chilling, taking pop shots every now and then. Like, I was really surprised that that we were unmolested in the end.
Yeah. The thing
Love
is
confusion.
that that eldritch being or whatever it was, a lot of its crazy abilities are, I mean, they're crazy on paper, like looking at them like holy crap, but they're also very stringent on and dependent on getting the dice to fall in your favor.
Really?
Like that first time, like the random red lightning strike hit somebody, it hurts. But every turn, like every time after that, it never hit anybody because the dice didn't fall that way. It's not just like, oh, he uses we'll just say like a layer action and bam, lightning shoots from the sky and hits you all. No, it's still up to dice. A lot of his abilities were still had a chance to fail or just completely whiff.
I mentioned this at the end of that game I thought that creature was just going to grab us all one by one and just brutalize us, just grapple all of us all at the same time. I really thought that was about to happen, and it never happened.
It was about to.
Will you? Yeah, like
after Genmare went, into death saves, and Grey Axe was blind and whatever else craziness happened to him.
I was reminded of a book I read called Hyperion, which is science fiction, like far-flung technological science fiction, where Earth is just one of many planets in the human, hegemony. One of the enduring characters of that series is called the Shrike, which is this really terrifying metallic beast. It's like a humanoid, but also not. And all it is composed of is like sharp, pointy nails. And it just like it walks around and it just murders people. Like its motives are inscrutable. Later on in this, I don't want to spoil it too much. This really isn't spoiling it too much, quite frankly. It has a place where it takes people that it doesn't kill, and it hangs them on this tree. This metallic tree with an infinite number of pointy ends. Hangs them there. Is it?
No.
I think it kind of is, but kind of not, because they introduce it very early on, believe it or not. And there's 4 books in the series, and it's like one of the first things they talk about. So, I don't know. It kind of is, but it's kind of not. Like, there's so much going on in that series. Highly recommended, by the way, anybody who's listening. Hyperion, Fall of Hyperion, Endymion, and then The Rise of Endymion. It's a series by Dan Simmons. No. Did I have that right? I don't remember if I have that right or not. Forget who wrote it. It's a great series. Look it up. No, I have it right, because I was thinking of Dan Brown, who wrote Angels and Demons. Totally different series.
Completely different.
Dan Simmons. So Dan Simmons wrote it. It's a really awesome, like Starfinder-like story. Like a futuristic Tales of the Canterbury. But that's what it reminded me of, was like this horrific tree where you never die, but you're always dying, is what I thought of when you started describing the way this thing was grabbing all of us. And I was like, oh my God, it's happening again.
Yep.
I loved it.
Del was at one point, please just grab me so I can attack you.
Yeah. I think in the future you should focus on grabbing as many party members as you can and letting them all suffer that is it what, like paralysis, or it was some kind of poison or something?
They poisoned you. They didn't it wasn't paralysis. That was from the spellcaster on Grey Axe.
I feel like there's ever a TPK waiting to happen, it's when you're battling an Eldritch being like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little something for next time.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
I hope you kill everybody.
Oh, absolutely, because if it attacks you and it succeeds, it automatically grapples you. And then your next turn, or on your turn, I can't remember. It's anyway. The next thing, you have to make a high Constitution save too. You have to make a Constitution save, or you get poisoned, and you take poison damage from the vines and all that. So if you then the turn after that, if you fail the Constitution save, then the extra stuff kicks in on top of all of that. So it's just like, don't fail that first save, otherwise it's just going to snowball quick.
I know, man.
I want to ask Bash.
I didn't do it.
In the last year or so, with all of, not necessarily the characters, but the players, has there ever been a time? I'm sure there's been many, but is there one that stands out more than any other where you just went, I cannot believe these guys are doing this, or going that way, or whatever?
Or what we're talking about.
I mean, as far as like actual gameplay and not just things that are said,
well, and the outcome is because of an action or a decision, or you saw where we were going, or in our I don't know, are talking back and forth leading up to something, you're going, no, don't do that. But we did it anyway.
Oh man. Oh shoot.
When Vern blowed the whistle.
Yeah, when Vern blew the whistle, I was like, oh, okay.
He said, "Are you sure?" When I did that too.
Yeah. I mean, I'd have to think on it for a minute as far as like specific, like, detailed moments. I believe it was it Tomoe-chan with the Black Mirror? I believe.
Oh, that made us forget everything?
Black Mirror.
I think so.
Yeah, like that one. I was just like, I was sitting there thinking to myself, I was like, all 5 of you all played the same Dragon Heist game that I watched you play. But
actually,
that's
been
kind of meta knowledge, or whatever. But like, just me knowing having the DM knowledge, sitting there going, don't do it.
It might have been Forge, because I think Kirsten was playing Band-Aid at that point. And I think that was the same room that Verm went down the well and was suffocating.
It may have been
from the gold.
No, the mirror was Tomoe-chan.
Was it?
I feel like I was uniquely suited to hate that module because I was not present for like half of it.
Yeah.
I had a lot of military stuff going on. I ended up skipping multiple sessions, and it was some of the coolest, there was some of the best chances to flesh out more of Zosa's backstory because it invoked deception, fear, like explicit terrors from the past. Like what Band-Aid went through when he saw his vision. Mm-hmm. You know, Zosa could have seen something horrific too, and I could have told you what that was, and I didn't get a chance to do that. I feel like that really sucks for Zosa's development, is that I wasn't there to portray that stuff to you guys. So I personally hate the fact that I missed all those awesome opportunities.
What's also canon is Torrent still has the water skin with the stuff that made Verm suffocate.
Oh, really?
And he has no memory of it.
He doesn't know anything about it.
He did look inside of it.
Why would you, though? It's just a water skin.
Wanted some water.
He was looking for mayonnaise.
Yeah, but he doesn't drink water.
For booze.
Another
water
moment.
Skin?
It wasn't so much, oh my god, I can't believe they're doing this or they did that. It was more of a, oh boy, this ought to be interesting. Was when Verm walked into the room first. And
I feel like that was for a lot of rooms.
With the statue.
Oh, no, stop.
I was, because it literally says the first character that walks into the room. And it just so happened to be Verm that time. And I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting.
Who did you want?
Fine.
Honestly, the evil DM side of me.
Let's go there.
Band-Aid.
Would have, no.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yes. But as far as like pure damage output, I would have wanted Borg to go in first.
Yeah.
Dumb.
I would have been fine until you said that the statue had a very shiny spear. Mm-hmm. You were like, it's a pristine spear made out of all gold and it's really shiny. I'm like, well, obviously I'm going to touch it and yank it from the statue. Yep. And then I turn into goddamn stone.
Look, you guys are unbelievably lucky that it wasn't Band-Aid or Zosa. Because they're such paragons of good.
I rolled
this
2
monster
nat ones.
Would have absolutely shredded you with with your trust in it.
I almost killed Band-Aid.
It's apparently it knows all of the memories of the person it trades with.
Yep.
It could have absolutely shredded you if you trusted Band-Aid, if you trusted Zosta. That would have been utterly devastating.
I almost killed Band-Aid and I rolled 2 natural ones and shot myself in the foot.
Twice. It was hilarious.
That was a harrowing battle, anyways. Remember how split we got?
Mm-hmm.
I think I shot you first, and then I think Bandit went after me, and I was like, "Well, he's the healer, so
Yeah, because
go for him."
because I remember Zosa and them, or everybody was making their way back into that room that you got turned into a statue in.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as Zosa moved, or as soon as Ben moved Zosa's token in front of you into the doorway, I shot you a whisper. You shoot her in the back of the head.
And
I'm
then
not gonna-
Zosa
I'm not
lost
gonna
her
say
shit.
no. Yeah, you were like,
We can't trust anyone in this motherfucker.
Pretty much.
Was it Yen who got stuck in that coffin over that boiling lake of lead?
"Yeah."
Mm-hmm.
From
That
the
was kind of a-
doppelganger.
That was kind of a
doppelganger one? Yeah.
crazy situation. There wasn't really I don't know. Did that turn out the best way it possibly could have?
Well, I mean,
We
nobody
lived.
died, so pretty much, yeah.
So no.
That was a rough one.
Yeah.
That was the miniature town, right? In the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and had the big dragon sculpture thing.
And I think we were just gonna have the Yens fight it out to see which one reigns supreme. And then I think the doppelganger tried to run away.
But it wasn't really so much a moment necessarily. It was more of a decision, Loco, because I knew what this particular decision was going to lead to.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, I was like going, they're not ready yet. But at the same time, they're deciding to go that way. So, and that was when you all got past the Riddle Sphinx there in White Plume Mountain, and you went to the left first, which is the hardest area of that dungeon.
But we didn't level it all through White Plume, so it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
But we
let's
would have
talk
had
about
artifacts.
That. Are we
Yeah,
Are we
you would have
under-leveled?
had all the stuff from the other side of the adventure, which
Not
would have
saying
helped
we
you
could-
over there.
like we're currently level 8? Is that appropriate? Like what is the book plan for? 4 fighters or 5? Like how are you changing the adventure based on the extra player?
No, honestly, like when you all had 6, I was there for a little bit. I was adjusting things in Forge of Fury, and after like a couple weeks, I just stopped adjusting everything. And just ran it how it was. And if it got to the point where things were just getting too easy, then I would adjust. But
I feel like this Yawning Portal book, playing the Avengers one after the other, would be a good candidate for milestone leveling rather than XP leveling. How do you feel about that?
yes, and well, it depends. Like if you're just doing just the book, it can be done. The problem is there's a couple of jumps in between some of the adventures where, like, say by the end of this adventure you're level 9, but the recommended starting level for this next adventure is 11.
For Thay?
No, I'm saying as an example.
Oh, okay.
And things
I was
like
gonna
that. So
We got some catching up to do, boys.
yeah.
Meat is not on the menu.
Time to circle the wagons.
Yeah. Like I thought about, honestly thought about doing milestone, but like with all the extra like not in the book stuff that we're doing as well, I just figured that's kind of a also an easy way for you all to stay on level or eventually get a little bit of a heads up on the challenges. Because I honestly didn't ever really worry about this group just turning into, murder hobo land and grinding XP essentially.
Well, I mean, now we're about to.
That's a good question too. Do you think we're murder hobos?
For on which side?
What do you
Getting
mean?
murdered or doing the murdering?
Oh yes. Are we suicide hobos?
Yeah. No.
Murder hobos don't ask questions. They draw swords.
Yeah, pretty much. There was. No, I really can't think of any real examples of where you all just like kill first, ask later.
I'm pretty sure most of the time we're attacked first.
Honestly, yeah.
So there's a great example in the first mountain where we had the chance to fight Duragar, but we diffused that situation and made friends out of them. We entered some kind of Duragar hall, and then we kind of like went pillar to pillar, and Zosa and I think Yenia were like yelling out like, "Hey, we're here, trying to see what's up. We're not looking to fight." And then it ended up working in our favor, where we had a parlay with them.
Well, I meant most of the encounters that we've done up until now that have resulted to combat have been us getting attacked first.
I do feel like there's not much opportunity for us to just talk our way out of things.
It's not,
a lot of things are
the module as a whole is
blatantly
not meant for it.
Yeah, like blatantly evil, blatant combat, So
Yeah.
it's not that we're
It's meant
murder
to be a
hobos per
dungeon
se.
crawl.
Like example A, the vampire that we fought wasn't just going to negotiate. Where it's in the room with its coffin and
Speak for yourself. He was my
with
best
Whelm.
friend.
Hey, speaking of Josh, thanks for the reset,
Josh.
dude. Well, there was a moment in Sunless Citadel. Like, you all could have made it out of there without as much violence, but
Fighting kobolds
it
is
is
fun.
what it is. Yeah.
To be fair, I think we tried to use like a persuasion check because,
I'm pretty sure we did.
we weren't supposed to necessarily kill the dragon, but I think most of the party designed or designated to kill the dragon.
Yeah.
And then we told the kobolds we didn't kill him, trying to deceive them and make our way out, but they saw through those lies and deceit and attacked.
I've got a Verm backstory question. Where
What's
did
that?
your, I'll call it lust for gold, come from?
The way I wrote Verm out for his like original backstory, if you were where he grew up, was in like the woods surrounding Waterdeep, or off to like the south by Loudwater, but not in Loudwater. They did a bunch of raiding with like small encampments or like adventurers that camped out in the woods. They would raid them, and one day Verm just kind of wanted to go find more gold than was being given for a certain cause. I won't go too far into it, but he is a child that he was trying to get certain things for that was never explored because he doesn't know his child. And his chief didn't want that to happen, so he killed his chief, and that's how he won Toby.
Wow.
Oh wow, dude.
I thought it was going to be.
I was just thinking it's all that was for him
So
to be able to finance the Lich ritual for Toby.
I think that's already funded with how much gold he eats, but
That's true.
I am reminded starkly of Rise of the Rune Lords, and anyone who knows anything about the first chapter of Rise of the Rune Lords, I feel like you hail from that region very starkly.
From the
That is so
Thistletop
cool.
goblins?
Yes. Rip
Rise of the
Nugget
Rune
Jr.
Rip
Rise of
Nugget.
Rise of the Rune Lords was one of my first ever modules I played.
The goblins are
That's a good
so
one.
much fun, man.
Yeah,
that was the
partly.
That was the first game I ever ran, and I got my team right to Thistletop, and then I had to stop the campaign because 2 of them had to go to Iraq. So
we had a player at Thistletop, Irmo. He was a halfling monk, I believe, and he tried to run across that trap bridge and just fell to his fucking to his death, to the water
right
below.
into the water face down.
So
Terrible monk, but what can you do?
Oh my god. My team tried to burn the woods down, and they just created this huge black smoke, so like everybody in Thistletop knew they were coming for days. Like they got stuck. They were like, what do we do now? Because I was like, yeah, it's raining, and like it wasn't raining, but they tried to burn this stuff, and it just made this black oily smoke. And then it started raining. So not only did they randomly, by the way, so not only did they get stuck because they couldn't like penetrate into the thistle there, they got it was hey.
Thank you for the raid. How was your stream? Good sir?
Eventually, they scaled down the mountain and then swam across, and then entered the Thistletop dungeon from the bottom.
Did they fight the bunyip in the bottom?
The bunyip harassed them, but I thought the bunyip was too strong for them, so I didn't let it kill them.
Fucking strong.
Yes, it was. It's quite strong for these little babies, the poor precious babies. So I let the bunyip harass them and terrify them with its howl, but yeah, it didn't. It didn't kill any of them. But once they were in, they were trapped. But that's right when I had to stop the campaign. The bunyip was going to keep them there, basically. And then the bridge was going to be cut, too. So it was just going to be a monster of a problem for them.
I'm trying to think of some other... hold on.
Should kind of finish her off with what's everybody thinking as a potential backup for when their character inevitably dies.
There's that too, yeah.
Do I have a backup made?
I have an answer. But before that, I just want to pour one out for Urkas, who I did not mention in the lineup of Fallen Heroes.
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
We did.
I forgot all about him. I mean, I mentioned that he got incinerated, but like... To Urkas.
Yeah.
Honk. Honk.
Honk. I mean, alluding back to like a way earlier question from Ben, there's a lot kind of, for the most part, pre-planned for the overarching storyline and the overarching plot for this campaign. Like, it's how it plays out honestly depends on what you all do and certain decisions that you all make when those opportunities come up. It'll be interesting. It's gonna, I guess, at the very end of the campaign, it's gonna be a whole lot of WTF moments, like mind blown type stuff. But it'll be interesting when we finally get to that point. Yeah, it'll be interesting. That's about all I can say without potentially spoiling something.
To answer your question, Sam, why don't we all just come back as a cleric party?
Death Cleric.
We have memed about coming back as a full class of one party, but I don't think cleric would be the move. I think paladin would be the move. Because we would have like a 25 to all saves.
We'll get 2 clerics, 2 paladins, and a monk, and we'll all follow the same god. We'll lead an inquisition.
We're just going to be crusaders.
Led by Genmer.
Easy.
Be funny.
Finger of death, finger of death, finger of death,
Finger
finger of
death.
death.
I've definitely
nightmare.
got some plans. It's a 1 in 3 chance I'll bring in somebody new. That means it's a 2 in 3 chance that I won't. And
There's
I'm gonna leave it at that.
There's a character that I'm probably gonna bring in back again. He just left the party, but I don't know when he's gonna come back.
Things are a little different now that I know about the time delay feature of Thay. I could not find any information anywhere online about this time delay that you guys are talking about. I looked, like, I never came across it before you mentioned it. I haven't found anything about it after you mentioned it. But now that it's canon, it does change some of my plans. I've been building a backstory behind y'all's backs, but now it's changed due to this time delay thing. There's so many more opportunities because so much more time passes. You know, like, we're entering this temporal prison, basically, which is really weird. The Thay must be at such a disadvantage, or they must be so technologically or magically advanced that they can still compete with the outside world. If everything around them moves faster than they do,
Well,
like, it's just this weird
so
feature.
like
I'll tell
we
you,
don't
if
know
they did
this as characters, but as players, like, Thay is ruled by like liches and like vampires. It's not like nobody wizards that are ruling Thay. Thay, I believe, is like divided into quadrants, and each quadrant has like their own separate owner.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
except Thus Tom is the overarching
Yeah, the overarching figure.
lich god, essentially, of Thay.
Yeah, but most of them, I believe, are kind of like greedy and want to fight for other pieces of land to expand their own.
I feel like Thay was cursed by some sort of temporal mythal. And by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, a mythal is like a spell higher than 9th level. Like 10th and up are like these ultra powerful, one-time casting only spells that involve like the entire output of multiple ultra high level wizards or, you know, casters in order to pull off these permanent effects.
I mean, you're not wrong, because before Mystra Limited, as far as D&D lore, before Mystra, the first Mystra Limited basically put an ability cap on spells, essentially why they stop at 9th level. 10th level spells and above were fairly common back in the days of, you know, like Elminster and all those very, you know, very recognizable legendary names. That it was literally starting to tear the universe apart. So that's why, one reason why she capped it.
Yeah. So is there a consensus among us that Thay was so technologically advanced, or maybe magically advanced, or perhaps magically dangerous to the rest of the world?
More on the magic side, I don't think they're necessarily technologically advanced. They rely on armies of wights and undead to
do simple tasks and carry out their deeds.
Their entire hierarchy is, you know, humanoids and liches that control slave armies, essentially.
I feel like going into Thay is like going into a black hole. Like, temporally speaking, relativistically speaking.
It's like going into the
It's no different than going to the Feywild or anything, because the Feywild is a separate time than the material plane as well when you teleport to those existential planes. Same with the astral. You go to hell.
And I knew that about the Feywild. And I, like, the reason I knew that it was from reading Patrick Rothfuss's books about the Feywild. If you guys are familiar with the Name of the Wind series, there's some time delay kind of shenanigans happening in that series that just work really beautifully. It's explained in a way where it's just like second nature to the person who's experiencing it, and then to the people outside of that bubble, they're like, "Where did this beard come from? It's been 3 days." You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. And so now I'm like adjusting all the plans that I've been building around this weird time delay that Thay is under, and I'm trying to build in a reason why it's happening. And it's really important for one of my stories that I'm like concocting. So I'm just trying to figure out like what the consensus would be about why that is. since I can't find any information online about the time delay, it's up to you guys to tell me why it's happening.
I can tell you why. If you do some like looking into the lore as far as like, you know, the past of D&D and stuff, Red Wizards of Thay. That's really all I have to say about it.
Okay. Yeah, like I like in my mind, the first thing I think of is like a deity is punishing that land. And it's like, you are too strong, and here's what's going to happen.
Possibility. I mean,
like the glass jar over the rose.
Yeah, considering how powerful that Lich God is, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
it's a
so Tom
possibility.
is like snap his fingers, and he's got 1,000 upon 1,000 undead patrons, essentially.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not asking for stuff that would spoil the campaign. I'm just trying to flesh out backstory stuff that you guys might not ever even find out about. I'm grasping because I can't find any information.
Like one night we spent there was like half a month.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No.
Yeah, I misspoke, by the way. I misspoke last session. We were like, okay, we take an 8-hour rest, and I'm like, and 8 months goes by. No, that's not what happened. I thought it was an hour to a month. It's a day to a month.
Yes.
So it's a matter of days, but everything counts in the fast-moving maelstrom of Waterdeep politics.
Yeah. So we've got potentially 2 returning characters as backups.
I could always bring Torrent back if necessary.
Well, is that what Jaff wants to do?
Yeah, it's
or do you got something else in mind?
It's definitely an option. I was thinking about playing a Wood Elf Archer.
It's so
just see what turns up.
Now it's so unlikely for me to bring back certain characters because Thay is so far away. The only way they could ever get to Thay is if Camilla delivered them there for some reason, you know, and I don't feel like that's likely. I have a couple characters who can make their way into Thay, but I feel like now I have to come up with somebody new almost. But it will be up to a die roll. I do a lot of die rolls in secret that guide my hand.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out. I will say that this adventure it does have a lot of Thay themed things in it, and it obviously takes place in Thay and all that, but it's not like if you could honestly with just the information we've just been talking about for the last 10 minutes could have an entire campaign just revolving around that.
Dude, totally.
This adventure doesn't go that far into it, you know. But
I just can't wait to make my Dragon Ball Z joke about the Super Thayans.
The Super Thayans. It's over 9,000.
You were really waiting for that, weren't you?
I'm sorry.
All night.
All night long.
It'll be interesting to see how all that plays out. But we'll have to wait until January of 2021 for that one. Guys, it's about a quarter till. Anything you all want to say in closing before we kind of sign off for the year?
Hope everybody has a
watching.
Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, or whatever else one chooses to celebrate this time of year, and look forward to more games.
And I'm glad that these are the people that we're playing this campaign with.
Yeah,
Thank you for putting up with our shit, Jeff.
I enjoy it.
Thank you for also putting up with our stuff, Loco.
I still hate you, Duff, but have a Merry Christmas anyway.
Loco loves us.
Yeah.
Tune in for the next episode of Yawning Portal Z.
Loco loves us, but not as much as Duff loves Andrew McCarthy.
And War Thunder.
Yeah. Which I'm sure he's probably listening now, and that's fine. He knows I jab at him every chance I can. So, that being said, what's going on, Buffrin? Guys, it's been a crazy fun year. I look forward to ruthlessly murdering you all numerous times in the next year.
Cowboys never die.
Yeah, they do. Saw a guy get gored one time and it wasn't pretty. Yeah, I mean, I look forward to it. Really kind of wish we would have been able to, actually do some playing tonight, but weather of late. Oh boy. That being said, the schedule, where you can catch all of our content. If I can remember how to spell schedule. You can find there. We have shows here on Twitch, obviously, because we're on Twitch right now. We have live streams on YouTube. We have pre-recorded and uploaded content over on YouTube. Loco has a podcast game. Every now and then Duff will stream playing War Thunder. It's always fun to give him crap during that because giving Duff hell is always a personal favorite pastime of mine. Everybody that's tuned in and watched throughout the year. I mean, you're kind of one of the main reasons why we're still here doing this. So thank you for all that. And tonight, Frank, Nightheart Gaming, Frank and Ann, thanks for the raid. It's always nice to see you folks. I really need to get better at catching other people's streams more often. But you know how it is when you have a lot of crap going on. So anyway, we appreciate the raid. Hope everyone has happy holidays. I guess would just be the correct way to say that. I personally can't speak for everybody else streaming on the channel, both here and on YouTube. But I know the next 2 weeks we're not going to be streaming just because of how the dates fall in line. I know usually the week of the week between Christmas and New Year's stuff usually goes dark, but we'll have to see. You'll just have to tune in. And yeah, anyway, that being said, guys, I guess I'll see y'all next year.
Yeah, see you next year.
Yeah.
Merry Chrysler.
Merry Chrysler.
Everyone has safe travels if they're traveling anywhere.
Absolutely. Again, everybody watching and tuning in, thank you very much. Until next time, I guess.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Chrysler.
Happy New Year.
And just remember, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Goodbye.
Feliz
No.
Navidad.
Yippee-ki-yay!